Hello and welcome. Good morning. You're tuning to Market Café. I'm Ankita Saxena with me. Yes, Shrishti Sharma. In the next 1 hour, we'll take you through how the global markets have fared and what are the cues that you need to keep on your radar. But before we get started with the show, we need to take a cue of how the global markets have fared, especially the US markets, how they have moved. Well, it was a mixed day coming in, as I can see. Dow Jones traded up 55 odd points. S&P 500 though was very flat. Just a 9-point downtick that's coming in. Nasdaq Composite lost almost 0.7% or 172 odd points in the trading session. Now, as of now, even if you look at the futures, futures are down. As far as Nasdaq is concerned, that has lost 0.3%. S&P 500 has lost 0.3%, and Dow Jones has dropped almost 139 points in the trading session as of now. Now, remember, Donald Trump on Thursday night had said that he would announce his choice to replace the Fed chair Jerome Powell on Friday morning. In fact, that's the news coming in by Trump on the federal chair Jerome Powell, that he would want to replace him. Also, remember, Apple shares have inched higher after the company beat the fiscal first quarter earnings and the revenue expectations. That was aided by a significant surge in the iPhone sales. Also, we had the KLA Corp that lost more than 8% on the guidance for the non-GAAP gross margin in the third fiscal. So these are the stocks that are moving as far as Wall Street is concerned. But as of now, the futures have been trading lower.
Well, absolutely a lot of action and especially a news-heavy day for the US market it was. But along with that, very wild moves when it comes to the commodity basket as well, because just on an intraday basis yesterday, silver dropped almost 8% while gold actually slipped 6%, and then they recovered actually as well. For now, gold is trading higher by almost 2%, while silver is yet again above that $115 per ounce mark, so not very far from its all-time high levels. So yes, very wild moves when it comes to these precious metal basket. But along with that, seems like it's the crude oil as well, which seemed to be on the boil, because just yesterday crude oil did surpass that level of $71 per ounce per barrel mark. And yes, of course, there are issues and there are concerns that what happens to Iran and what could be the next move when it comes to Donald Trump. And as of now, even Brent crude is hovering around that $70 per barrel mark. The precious metals, very wild moves, but along with that, when it comes to the base commodities as well, and especially copper, that surged almost 10% to the record high levels. So let's see how the action pans out in today's trading session.
All right, so that's where the commodities are at. But let's talk more about the geopolitics. The U.S. trade deficit has nearly doubled in November, rising 94% on a month-on-month basis to $56.8 billion, even as Trump's tariffs push continues. The biggest deterioration came from Europe, with the U.S. and EU goods deficit jumping over $8 billion, while the deficit with China narrowed slightly. On a year-on-year basis, the overall trade gap is still 4% higher.
And Trump has launched a fresh attack on Fed Chair Jerome Powell, slamming him for refusing to cut the interest rates. Trump said that high rates are hurting the U.S. economy and even national security, arguing that inflation is no longer a threat and borrowing costs should be much lower. Now, reports also suggest that he could announce the next Fed chair as soon as this week.
And the U.S. Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has issued a fresh warning to Iran, saying Trump is serious about preventing Tehran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. Hegseth said that the U.S. is keeping all the options on the table, urging Iran to strike a deal and abandon nuclear ambition or face a military response. Let's listen in.
And when President Trump said, we're not getting a nuclear, Iran, you won't have a nuclear bomb, he meant it. And we sent those B-2s halfway around the world, and they never noticed. When he said, we're not going to tolerate trafficking drugs anymore in our hemisphere, we treat them like the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere, he meant it, and we're executing that. When you said, Mr. President, we're securing the border, the military was proud to do their part alongside Homeland Security to do that. Same thing with Iran right now, ensuring that they have all the options to make a deal. They should not pursue nuclear capabilities. So we will be prepared to deliver whatever this president expects of the War Department.
And Apple has delivered a blockbuster quarter with revenue surging 16% on the year-on-year basis, powered by what CEO Tim Cook calls staggering iPhone demand. Now, China led the charge with sales in Greater China jumping 38%, driven by strong upgrades and new users switching to iPhone. Now, while Macs underperformed, iPad sales beat the expectations, helping Apple post sharply higher profits and reaffirm strong consumer demand.
SK Hynix has overtaken Samsung in annual operating profit for the first time as artificial intelligence has reshaped the global memory chip race. Now, the shift is being driven by SK Hynix's dominance in high bandwidth memory, or the HBM, a critical component of the AI servers, where it now controls the majority of supply for the next generation NVIDIA chips.
And Elon Musk's SpaceX and artificial intelligence firm XAI are in merger talks ahead of the planned blockbuster IPO later this year, according to Reuters exclusive. Now, under the proposed deal, XAI shares would be exchanged for SpaceX shares, bringing Musk's rocket Starlink satellites, X platform and Grok AI chatbox under one corporate umbrella.
And Venezuela has approved sweeping reforms to its oil law, opening the door for greater private sector control and foreign investment after Washington eased the sanctions. Lawmakers passed changes that allow private operations more autonomy, enable asset transfers and outsourcing, and give Venezuelan oil ministry expanded powers to approve and amend the contracts. The reforms also introduce a new hydrocarbon tax while allowing lower income taxes for energy projects.
Meanwhile, Trump has threatened new tariffs on any country supplying oil to Cuba, escalating pressure on the communist-run island. The move, authorized under a national emergency order, does not specify tariff rates on or target countries. Now, Trump said Cuba is failing and accused foreign suppliers of propping up the regime.
All right, with that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.